Okay guys, so this is just a final update on the equipment racks. They are finally full and there is no more room for any more hardware. We have to put another level up there in order to get more gear. We are completely maxed out now with the arrival of a new piece yesterday. So I want to show you. So I'm just gonna kind of narrate this with the iPhone. Sorry for the bad video and audio quality, but it should be good enough. You guys tend to like these videos. So I'll go through all the equipment right here, and then I'll even talk to you about that rack there as well. Some of this stuff has already been shown in other videos, but I wanted to give kind of the final. Here it is. Here's everything. Everything is here. If we want more gear, we got to do something else. Although there is going to be a new piece of gear going there soon, but we'll talk about that in another video. So let me get over here with the iPhone. I'm going to sit in the chair. Again, sorry for the shaky video. I just finished up another song for a client. Baby SSL's going to sleep for the day. So let's start off with the equipment rack. So if you've been following along and watching the videos of Dave and I talking about how we got here and how we set up this whole studio, in one of those episodes, you'll hear us talk about, although you didn't see it because I was sitting in front of it, how we were able to free up more space here when we were rearranging the racks in one of our phases, our install phases. And we went to this, and this is a 12 space, I believe it's 12. Maybe it's a little bit more than that, but it's an old wooden rack that I had in the back of the studio in a storage closet I wasn't using. And we offloaded all of the I/O, computer, and power conditioner to this rack, right? So on the bottom, moving a little closer there. Ooh. We're gonna get really bad light. Okay, sorry. So right there we have our I/O. Those are the PreSonus Quantums. We have two Quantum 4848s, which is giving us a total of 64 I/O, which covers all the short and long faders on the SSL origin. And then we have the Quantum 2626, which is providing the monitor section, because the Quantum 4848s don't have a monitor section, right? So that is our I/O right there. Okay. Above that, we have 4 Furman power conditioners that are staged, meaning they turn on in different phases. I've talked about those many times on the channel. That's what I highly recommend if you have a lot of gear. So all the gear, all the hardware here, all this, hope I didn't make you dizzy. That all goes into the top 3 Furmans. 1, 2, 3. And then the bottom one is the SSL and the monitors. There are 2 sets of monitors, my Focals and my Avatones, and the SSL all get turned on last. So I just come in and turn on 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when we shut down, we go 4, 3, 2, 1. I should probably label that 4th one. Above that is our computer, which I'm using the 2020 Mac Mini M1, not the new ones with the Ultra chips or Max chips or whatever. That's just the regular one, the $800 one with 16 gigs of memory in it. It works flawlessly on this rig, so it's great. We have a UAD Octo satellite for UAD plugins when I use them. We got a bunch of SSD backup drives, so I have everything backed up in 3 or 4 places. Then we have a power conditioner at the top, just a straight on one that always stays powered on for the computers and for the Quantums. Only the ones in the middle turn on the gear. Okay, so that's that rack. Then we get over here and we'll start at the top left and work our way down. So we have our boom box. We have the Audioscape 76A Blue Stripe. Fantastic compressor. Nice and open on the top. I really like this. You want something, got something dark, you want to brighten it up, that's one to use. Underneath that, we have the Audioscape 76F version of the 1176. Not as bright as that, but not as warm as the Blackface, which I'll get to in a minute. Then if we come over here to the other top, we have the Blackline Audio Bluey, which sounds very similar to the 76A, but it's more aggressive. It's more raunchy sounding, which is nice. So it's like a 76A with some grit. And then we have the 76D by Audioscape. Again, sounds warmer than the other 2. So the way their Audioscape 1176s kind of go, that's the warmest of the 3. Kind of in the middle, the F, open and bright raunchy. So that's the 4 1176s that we have. 3 by Audioscape, one by Black Lion Audio. Then if we come down here to this rack, we have the Aphex 204s. They're 2 channels, so you get 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are being used for toms, primarily. Oh, I didn't turn this one on? Oh, I must have not turned that one. What did I do? Oh, you know what I did? I probably forgot to turn on that last power strip. So anyway, so we have Aphex 204s, 4 channels. I usually just use those for toms. They sound great. Under that, we have a pair of distressors. I use those for a variety of things. Everything from guitars, vocals, pianos, saxophones, strings, horns. They sound really great. And then under that, we have the Fusion on the master bus, which is a brilliant box. The first piece I would tell anyone to purchase, if you're first getting into hybrid and you're all in the box and you want your first piece of analog gear, I say always start on the master bus. That's where you're going to get the most bang for buck. And that is the most bang for buck you could possibly get, the Fusion. Did a full review on it, check the channel. I'm sure you've seen that. If not, go watch it. Me and Dave did it. It was a lot of fun. Underneath that, we have the ART Trans Y, which is something I purchased from my good buddy Dave, as you've seen on the channel. He wasn't using it. It's a stereo bus compressor, and it's usually reserved for background vocals for the most part. Sounds pretty good. It's, you know, cheap, kind of inexpensive, but it sounds great for background vocals. Underneath that, we have the API 5500 stereo EQ, which right now, since I bought this about a month ago, I'm using it on an album project, and I'm just using it on the drum bus for now, and it's freaking wonderful. Awesome. You want drums with lots of punch, even if you dial in the EQ on your console. I put a little bit of 50, actually quite a bit, 6 dB at 50, take out a couple dB at 500, add a couple of dB at 5K, and it sounds great. That's an amazing EQ. Super punchy, super aggressive, everything's nice and tight and focused. Once I get through this album project, I'd love to try this on the master bus as well, just for giggles. This is a new piece I want to show you. This just came in the other day. This is the Audioscape EQPA, the Pultec, but it is actually part of their new, you can see this, the Trainwreck series, where they're now, Audioscape will hand relic some of their gear if you want something that looks old and vintage. That's really popular on the in the guitar market, but I've never seen an audio company, a pro audio company, do that. They do a wonderful job too, because you know they don't overstate it. It looks completely natural. Really, really cool. I mean, it is really cool. It's not overly done and look like somebody actually reliced it. It looks like it would have naturally had done this. So my guess is they got some photos, or they got an old real Pultec, and they kind of copied some of the relicking, but they did a really nice job. There'll be a review coming on this soon, and we'll compare it to plugins, but it just sounds absolutely unbelievable. So that's the latest piece I got. And now underneath that, we have our 2 delay units. These are Line 6 Echo Pros. They don't make these anymore, but you can get them for between $400 or $500. I got them in almost pristine condition. So I'm using one for a quarter note, one for an eighth note delay. They were primarily put out for guitar players, and it does a lot of stuff, but I just use it in its most basic form. And for a delay unit, it sounds really great. For the price, you can't beat it. We're getting towards the bottom here, and then under that we have the Audioscape Spring Reverb unit, analog spring reverb. Really cool. We did a full review on this. The more I use this, the more I like it. It's simple. It sounds really wonderful. And I put this, every single track on my mix runs through that in very like light, small doses. Just a nice little wash. You can barely hear it, but what a difference it makes. That's a beautiful box, by the way. You want something a little different, you want a hardware reverb, I highly recommend this piece. Check out Audioscape's website. I mean, compared to the price of something like a Bercasti or a high-end Lexicon, I mean, price-wise, they're right in the ballpark. They're actually a little bit cheaper than those, I think, and they sound great. And then we have over here the West Audio NG bus compressor, which I'm primarily just using for drums. It could be patched anywhere, but it sounds amazing as a drum bus. You can, and the reason why it's at the bottom of the rack is because it's all digitally controlled with a plug-in, so you don't need to get on the floor and adjust it. I don't ever touch it. I do it all with a plug-in. But that's an amazing unit too. Amazing, great for stereo bus compressor. Again, hybrid, if you want a really great compressor for your master bus, that's one that heavily considered. They have a transformer circuit and everything. I have a full review on it on the channel. Okay, let's move over to this rack. So we ended up over here. So beneath our 1176s here, this is our four patch bays, which look like a mess because I'm in the middle of a session. I got a bunch of things patched. These are all Switchcraft patch bays. We have a 96 point, two 64 points, and another 96 point. Don't ask why we did 64s instead of 96s, because at the time they were out of stock and you couldn't get them. So we're using them, and we have plenty of patch bay left over. I'm going to do a full video on how to use a patch bay one of these days. A couple of you asked, how do I use it? And I'll show you that. I did a video where I showed you the labeling program, how we label it. So you can see it's all labeled. Cool. So that's our patch bays, and it's nice because I'm sitting in a chair right now, and this is pretty much at eye level. So you can just wheel over and patch things in and out. You don't have to, get that on the floor. Underneath that, we finally have filled up, sorry about the patch cables in the way. We finally filled up the 500 series of all the SSL dynamic modules. So this is a West Audio Super Carrier 2 500 rack that has 11 slots, not 10. And they're filled up with 10 SSL 611 dynamics, which are patched to the patch bay and they're hard patched, they're normalized, so there's no cables going from the patch bay to it. And they're all inserted permanently on the SSL. So that's channel 1 on the board, channel 2 on the board, channel 3 on the board, channel 4, you get it all the way through. Just like if you had a dynamics in the actual console, we have them normalized so they come either right before or right after the EQ on the board, depending on how you want to use it. And now you can have dynamics on the first 11 channels and a gate, which is great. Underneath that, we have another 500 rack. This is the Titan by West Audio. This is only a 10 slot. In the first bank, we have the West Audio Dione VCA bus compressor, like SSL kind of a thing. Again, all digitally controlled with a plug-in. Next to that, we have the West Audio RIA, which is a very new compressor, again, controlled with a plug-in. Next to this, we have a pair of VA3 V3As, which are the Audioscape LA3A copies with transformers and whatnot. Sound fantastic. I use these on guitars all the time. Next to that, I have an SPL de-esser, which I use for lead vocals, which is great. And then the last piece in here is the Ams Reverb. This is the Neve Reverb. I use this primarily for drums, and it sounds wonderful. Got a couple of presets that I made for myself, and it sounds great. Underneath that, we have the Audioscape V-Comp Plus, which is their version of a stay level. Nice, rich, thick, creamy, awesome on vocals, great on bass guitar. Also pretty good on acoustics. And then last, we have the good old faithful Opto Compressor by Audioscape, the LA2A. Another awesome compressor I used on this whole album I'm doing. Bass runs through it on every single track, and it sounds great. So we have a lot of Audioscape pieces, so I want to make sure I'm very thankful, and I am, to Audioscape and Chris Yetter from Audioscape and all the good folks over there. We've exchanged a lot of these pieces for reviews. A lot of these are already on the channel. Some of them are coming soon, like the 1176 shootout and the EQP shootout. And then some of the pieces like the LA3s, I paid for those. But Chris has been very, very generous. Chris, I got to say thank you so much, man. This guy makes wonderful gear. And if you don't believe me, go look around on some of the other, channels like Warren Hewitt, Produce Like a Pro. I mean, just go search. You'll see a lot of pro-level engineers use Audioscape stuff, because for the buck, you can't beat it. It sounds wonderful stuff. And Chris has been a real big supporter of this whole channel and my new studio ever since it opened. And I really do appreciate it. I highly recommend you give him a look. Again, the links will be in the description box for audioscapeengineering.com out in Florida. So that's the racks. There they are. They're full. You'll see there's no more space. Everything's been moved. We can't fit anything else in here. That's it. We have a couple of one spaces available, but I leave that for the tube. The Pultec's got tubes in it, so I want it to cool, so we don't want to put anything there. Same thing down here. We got tubes. We don't want to put anything there, so we got some cooling, one space, rack, one space there, cooling. So there's really nowhere to put another one. I guess there is down here, another one space. the NG bus doesn't have, even though it vents on the top, you probably should cool it. The reverb unit has no vents on the top, but really, we're done. I mean, the only way we could put more gear is to go up a level. And like I said, I have another one of these racks. I have another one, 4 space on each side, 8 space that could go up. We could go up another level if we wanted to. But there really isn't a need. I mean, outside of maybe one more Pultec, one more EQP to have a stereo pair, other than that, there's nothing else I really need. I mean, we got everything, and I don't use everything on every mix, but we have a lot of ice cream flavors as far as compression goes. The API EQ was a great addition. The EQP, the EQ PA was a great addition, and so there's really not a need to have another rack full of gear. There really isn't. So the only way I think I would get something new is if something went away. If we didn't use something and I was going to get rid of something and replace it with something else, but to just buy more stuff doesn't really need it. Like I said, I'm doing full-on mixes and not even using all the gear on every mix. There's no reason to. Depends on the track, but we got plenty of stuff here. So anyhow, that is kind of the completed racks for 2022. And then again, we have the equipment racks over there. Everything's worked out really good. Again, all of this, putting all of this together, I could never have done without help from my good friend and assistant and part of this channel, really, Dave. Dave knows who he is, David SJ. He's really been a lot of help. I mean, tremendous help. And it's been fun working together as a partnership on this, as far as, you know, just two friends getting together and geeking out. And he's had a lot of fun here. And he's looking forward to getting in here and using this stuff. I know he is. So you'll see him on the channel again soon. So that's it for now. So please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions about the gear. And until the next video, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com. Thank you so very much for watching. Take care, everybody.